Thank you so much for taking some time out of your Tuesday to learn all about working with results for your exchanges. This is really intended to be your introduction to the Discover dashboard. We're going to be about 20 minutes of presentation today and then leave the rest of the time for questions. Again, we are a smaller group, so add your questions to the chat as we go, or you can wait for the end and I can even take you off of mute so we can workshop your questions together. I'll introduce myself. So my name is Tila Beischer. I'm a customer program manager here at ThoughtExchange, meaning that I support our onboarding and training materials sessions such as this. We offer masterclasses regularly on different topics, so be sure to check out our masterclass landing page. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And land acknowledgement, I'm from up here in Canada, and I'd love to start by acknowledging that I am joining from the ancestral and unceded lands of the Silks Okanagan people. So here's our agenda for today. Today, we're going to talk all about working with results. So the Discover dashboard is really your toolkit to get the big picture and discover all of the details in your exchange using different visual data analytic tools. These tools will help you to really uncover actionable insights so that you can drive your business outcomes using your exchange results, getting that speed to better. Today is intended to be a really high-level overview of the Discover dashboard. We're going to go through how do we set objectives and consider sharing information back, considering different stakeholder groups. We're going to do a tour of a dashboard together, go through some theming at a high level, go through reporting, and then leave the end for Q&A as well. All right, so let's dive right in and start talking a little bit about objectives and actionable insight. So when you think about running an exchange, you always have a why. There are outcomes that you want to find from that exchange. And you're really thinking about what is the original reason and what is the information that you needed to glean to accomplish those outcomes. And as you work with the results, I'll have you situate yourself within those outcomes. And what I mean by that is, if you're doing something like setting an agenda for a meeting, the outcome of the exchange is to know what's the most important thing to your group. Whereas if you're doing something like a broader organization-wide strategic planning process with phased implementations, what's important to know is what's important to each of the different groups who you've reached out to, or where are those differences. The Discover dashboard has various tools to give you different types of information. So you can have high-level information, something like a word cloud, to something even more granular. We have a heat map that shows you what's important to different survey question groups. And if you're really thinking about choosing tools based on your outcomes, I'll also have you think about how are you sharing the results back. So who are your different stakeholder groups who you need to share information back, and how will you best share that back with them? Let me give you an example. If you've run an organization-wide culture exchange, you're likely going to have a few different groups who you're sharing information back with. You're probably first sharing information back with leadership, and that might be something like a presentation, a slide deck. Maybe you're even setting them up with access to the dashboard so they're able to go through and review the results on their own. You're then going to want to share information back with different teams. So that means that you need a way to parse your information and share it back with different teams. And then you're going to share it back organization-wide as well. So you're likely wanting something like a summary report, which is a custom URL website. You can share the link back with all groups. All of these strategies really serve to be targeted for reporting back to your stakeholder groups, but also focusing on organizing results for action, which is what we're going to talk about within our tools today. And that objection or the objectives and the action is really where we situate this work in. So what we're going to do is actually spend the rest of our time in a dashboard today, and let's walk there together. So I'm going to walk you through our Getting Started room. This is where we host our workshop exchanges. And so you can find the Discover dashboards under Exchanges, and then you're able to click on the Discover dashboard next to any exchange. So I'm going to scroll down here as well to this one here, May 2021 Education Leaders. And if I click on Discover dashboard, it opens up a new tab. Something that's important for you to keep in mind is every exchange has its own dashboard. So if you've run a cadence of exchanges, maybe you've run a visioning exchange, a proposing exchange, and then a reflections exchange, you're going to have 3 separate dashboards, one for each exchange. And let's walk through these various tools together. So when you land in a dashboard, you land on the overview page. That's what we're looking at here. And this shows you the breakdown of your participation, and it also shows you your survey question breakdown. So you can see I've had 76 people in this exchange, I've had 99 thoughts and 790 ratings. And then I can also see down here, I asked some really strategic survey questions. I wanted to know what date people were attending a session. And then I also wanted to know people's comfort level with exchange design. And I can start to glean a little bit of information about my stakeholders who I'm reaching out to using this information. So overview is really high level. The next tool that you're going to really find valuable if you're interested in a high level overview is this word cloud, which lets you to picture the whole discussion. This shows a visual of keywords from your exchanges in the highly ranked thoughts. It's a quick way to get a read on the exchange's tone, and it looks really great in a report. You can download it, you can edit it to remove thoughts, and you can even switch it from the star view, which is showing us the words in a larger size based on their rating score, to a volume view. How often was a word mentioned versus how highly rated was it? This is a really effective tool to share back with people immediately after the exchange closes. So you could think of, if you're sending out a thank you note to people for participating, you could have a thank you note with this embedded in it. Another way that you can really leverage this is if you're trying to get more participation midway through your exchange, and maybe you're using something like social media or Slack or Teams, embedding an image with your link to please hop in and join the conversation can be a really good way to get people a little bit more motivated and excited about things. So that's word cloud, really high level for you. And thoughts is a view that allows you to identify your overarching top priorities. So this is an ordered list of thoughts from highest to lowest rated with reporting and filtering functionality. And what we're seeing here, all of the thoughts in my exchange, the ones that were rated the highest are up at the very top, and then I can scroll down all the way to the bottom, the ones that were rated the lowest. I'm going to show you a couple of those filtering tools so you can really get the most from this. So you'll notice here that I have the option at the top to filter by my survey questions. So if I wanted to know what were the top thoughts of people who said that they run a few exchanges, but they're looking for a refresher, they're looking at these specific topics. Whereas if I wanted to look at everyone all together, then I could see everyone all together. I'm also able to click on reports and generate a new report here. Click on view so you can see what it looks like. And then I have a list of all of the thoughts in my exchange. This can be really handy. Look at this here to this comment function on the report. This is so valuable for you as a leader. You are able to reply to thoughts that are entered in the exchange, and then they're included in any reports. We call that function leader comments, and you are able to add your thoughts in response. That might be to clarify a question. If you've run an exchange as an FAQ, what are your questions about X? You're able to actually just respond to them and then treat the report as your FAQ document. So those are the thoughts view. I'm going to next show you a little bit of theming work. And so we'll start with the AI generated themes. I'm curious, have those of you on the call, have you seen the bar chart view before in ThoughtExchange in the dashboard, or is this new to you? And raise your hand if it's brand new to you. All right, so it looks like our group has seen this before, so I will zip through it pretty quickly for you. What this is a bar chart of the different themes in your exchange, and the larger the bar, the higher the rating of that theme. A theme is really where we organize our participant responses into groupings that everyone can understand. And there's a few different ways to do theming. There are machine learning algorithms that give you a data set in seconds. So that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at the AI themes, and these happen for every single one of your exchanges. They are themes that are created based on the words that are coming up in your exchange. You're also able to create manual theme sets. So there's a really simple tools that we'll go through in just a moment so that you can adjust your themes to fit your goal. That might look like you're doing some emergent theming. What are the words coming up? It might look like you're doing a little bit of strategic theming. Before we dig into that, let me show you how you can really get the most out of this bar chart. So you can see that we're filtered right now for everyone, but you're also able to filter by your survey questions here. And this is a really useful way for you to look at the themes of what's coming up as most important for each of your different groups that you've reached out to if you've asked a demographic question. You're also able to view multiple theme sets. So if you've set up your AI themes and you've done some manual theming too, you can view different ones here, understand the priorities that are arising. And over here, you can actually sort and change the filter view. So right now we're looking at the information based on the rating of the thoughts. So what was being rated the highest, you can see that topic is community. Whereas I can look at volume, how often were thoughts with this word mentioned in it. It's still community, but we also have this unthemed category. Well, that's the basics of the bar chart. There's also a tile chart that's demonstrating the same information with a different visual view. So we have our bars for the traditional view and then the tile chart just to show these are our different themes. When you're deciding between the two, which one do I want to show back with my groups, the bar chart kind of has that visual prioritization built into it, right? We can see, oh, this looks like it was the most important because it's the largest bar. If you're trying to deprioritize the importance of each category, then you could share out the tile view, which really just shows here are the different areas, the different topics that we came up with. I want to teach you how to theme now so you can know how to do that. So I'm going to click into the themer, and the first thing I want to highlight for you is this learn how to theme function. This will walk you through creating your first theme set. So I encourage you to walk through using this tool. It'll talk you through exactly as if I were here with you. We're going to do it manually for now. So you can create multiple theme sets. So each time you create one, you're going to want to click on new and give it a theme set name. So I'm going to name it today's date, which is July 13th. And I do have the option if I want to copy my AI themes and then to edit those. A lot of people will start here. Copying the AI themes gives you a basic structure to work off of, and then you could change the names, reorganize things a little bit. When you're new to theming, that's one of the lightest ways to do it. So let's do that today. Click on create, and it's just created a duplicate, which I can now edit. To edit any of the theme name categories, I want to click on this manage button. And here is where I can do things like remove this unthemed category. Maybe I want to rename this no to knowledge. See, I can just click on them and type them, improvement and continuity. So that's how you can edit any of the names. Click on OK. If you want to add more themes, you can do so up here using this theme add theme name function. So maybe I want to add in employee feedback. I know that there were quite a few thoughts on the exchange all about that. So I can title it in, click on add, and now I have that as a theme, which I can add or bucket my thoughts into. To actually do theming, it's really quick and easy. You click on the thought that you want to theme and then click on the appropriate theme that you want to add it to. You can see that I've just clicked on that, and there's some ways to make this a little bit quicker. So first, there's a search function. If I want to search for everything that has the word staff in it, I search the word staff, hit enter, and then I can select all of them by clicking on this large select all box and pop them all into the appropriate theme over here. You're also able to go through and show just your unthemed thoughts. You could think of this as your to-do list while you're theming. So these are the ones that haven't been added to a theme yet. Maybe I just want to go through and add them in. There's a few questions that we get each time that people start theming. First is, what if I've run a large exchange? Do I need to theme all of it? The answer is no, you don't necessarily need to theme the entire exchange. What a lot of people will do is to do a high agreement theme set. And that is when you theme the top X thoughts. That might look like you're theming the top 200 thoughts. That might look like you're theming everything that's rated 4.0 and above. And then when you share the results back, you share them with the mindset of, we've themed the most important thoughts in this exchange, or the ones that you said were most important. Here's our high agreement theme set of what we're going to tackle. What we did here was we did something called an emergent theme set. So we created categories based on the different topics that we saw come up in the conversation. But oftentimes people will ask, can I create my own theme set? Maybe I'm doing a SWOT analysis. Maybe I'm doing a strategic impact analysis. Maybe I'm creating a timeline of immediate future consideration. You're able to set your theme set up entirely as you would like to. So if you have run a organization-wide culture exchange, let's loop back to that example, and you know that you are going to have different themes based on your organization's core pillars, you could set those up here. So you could have your core pillars be your different themes and then add the thoughts in accordingly. That makes your ultimate reporting really easy. That's also a really powerful way to theme things like budget exchanges. If you already have the different categories of your expenditures and the different things that you're going to focus your budget on, you could set those up as the themes and then add the different thoughts into them. Those are the basics of theming. It can get a little bit easier as you go on. It's very quick to use this tool, but there are tools hidden in ThoughtExchange Labs. If you haven't explored here yet, I encourage you to do so after today's session. There are tools such as the multi-themer. This allows you to create a skeleton framework and then to apply that theme set to any exchanges in your ThoughtExchange room. And there's an auto-themer in there as well that plays with different types of AI too. So there is a masterclass that we've recorded, and we can share that with you too if you want to learn a little bit more about those tools. So that's theming and the basics. Once you've themed an exchange, you'll likely want to be able to share those results back. And so we have two reporting tools, and we often think that reporting is one of the most important steps in the process. So when we're thinking about introducing ThoughtExchange to an organization and maintaining participation over time, continually sharing results back or closing the loop of each exchange before launching into the next one is one of the best ways to encourage participation across a cadence or a sequence of exchanges. And so there's two tools to empower you to do that. The first is called Slides. This launched last year, and I've heard that it has saved hours and hours of time. It is a customizable summary presentation covering some of the Discover Dashboard's most popular tools. So you can choose the results that you want to highlight and then present them directly on your browser, or you can download, you can export here into a PowerPoint presentation. So if I was giving you a presentation about this exchange, I could say, here's the question that I asked, how many people I reached out to, here's my breakdown of who they were and what session they attended, here's the word cloud from it, the top 3 thoughts, and then I'm able to add my themes in as well. A really powerful and light way for you to give a really effective presentation. The other tool that we have is called Reports. I'll click into that so you can get a good sense of what it is. This is a summary report to include your response in the exchange, your theming work, and a list of thoughts. It creates a custom URL, which you can share back with your participants to close the loop. So let me click on New and show you how we would create that. I'm going to name it July 13th. You have the option, if you've uploaded your logo, it will show up here. If you haven't, send your logo to your customer success manager or account manager. You can customize this overview, and I will encourage you to do so. Customizing the overview is an opportunity for you to share what you learned from the exchange or what actionable outcomes are coming from the exchange. Remember, you want to tie your exchange to that impact or to that action, so speaking more to it here allows you to build that narrative. Under exchange details, options to include the survey questions if you want to. You can include your own theme set. So I can put that theme set that we just created here as well. Choose to show the bars or the tiles and unselect whichever one you don't want. You can customize all of this text. Click on Save here, and then I'll open it up so you can see what it looks like. This URL link is what you would share back with your participants. So you can see that they're able to click into this and see this view. They can see all the information from the exchange. They can look at those survey questions. They can read through all of the thoughts, see your comments on the thoughts as well, and they can look at the themes. What's really wonderful about this is that this gives you that speed to trust is we're able to show you transparently exactly what came up in the exchange, and you can read through all of it if you would like to. And it allows you to meet the different learners that you're working with, right? Some people want to just zip through. How many people participated? What were the survey questions, respondents? And then some people want to really dig into the themes and get a little bit more granular with it. The power of the slide deck combined with the report lets you to meet the needs of any of those groups that you're circling information back with. So that's the high level overview of the dashboard. I do want to show you two more tools because we have enough time today and I think they will be valuable for you. So the first one is differences. And this is a tool to allow you to find common ground to counter polarization. Differences shows your participants areas of agreement and disagreement in real time. It allows you to identify interest groups, polarizing ideas, and to discover strategies that everyone agrees upon. So I'm going to start with the Venn diagram here as the best example of differences. Differences is one group of people who rated the same set of thoughts in two different ways. So we have over here a group that we will call our green group, and then we have our blue group here on the left. The green group was rating all of these thoughts here really low. So they didn't think that these were topics that they wanted to engage upon. They weren't looking for student input. They weren't looking at capital improvement projects. Whereas this blue group was rating this really highly. These were things that they were really interested in doing. You can start to get a sense of that disagreement almost in the exchange or differing priorities. And then here we have in the middle, the side AB common high. This is, I have my group of 16 people who were divided on this issue here over on the left. But in the middle, they actually rated the set of thought really highly. So they were all really interested in doing this one specific type of engagement, which shows that if we were to action that engagement, it would be a low hanging fruit or a quick win. For you thinking about how you're going to use this tool, it's really handy if you know that you're going to be running a contentious exchange and you can already expect that you're going to have some agreed upon or contentious or polarized ideas as well. You'll see those reflected here, and it can be a really powerful way for you to get a more granular and insightful understanding of those groups of polarities, but also where they come together so that you can make action to start bringing in that piece around common ground. All right, the last tool I'm going to show you today is called heat maps. And this is a way for you to really start to understand what's important to different stakeholders. This is a visual graph showing you priorities of your survey questions. So our participant groups, our survey questions down on the x-axis, and then our themes on the y. And I can see based on the color of these tiles, what are people rating more highly? So what was more important to people who were new, who attended this workshop, versus what was more important to people who have run past exchanges or who are a little bit more experienced? A really good example of this is looping back to that culture exchange that we talked about. If you asked a survey question asking people which department they work in, you could see what are the most important themes to my different departments. And then you're able to share that back with the department heads, with the managers, with the team leads, so they can really take action on the information here. Those are the basics of the Discover dashboard. The very last thing that I'm going to show you in the dashboard is this help icon up in the top right, and this will be your best friend as you're starting to get to know things. You can search our entire help site here. So if you said, okay, I'm in heat maps, I don't really remember how it works, search heat maps. We have a masterclass on it, and then we do have a lot of help articles going through it as well. So lots of resources embedded here to make your life easier as you're learning all about ThoughtExchange. So just want to say thank you so much for attending today, learning a little bit about the Discover dashboard. We're going to move into a bit of a Q&A now. And because we're a small group today, what I can do is I can actually take you off of mute if you would like. You can ask your question and then we can go through the dashboard and I can show you how to solve it. If you just want to share your questions in the chat, feel free. There's only two of us here today and I do not need to be off right away. So if you have questions, we can dig into them. If you want to be taken off of mute to ask, please raise your hand. Just using the raise hand function in Zoom. All right, you can also pop your questions into the chat. And if you have none, feel free to get a little bit of time back in the bank. Oh, Kim, I see you've raised your hand there.
Yes, so I'm a new leader in our district, but we did do some thought exchanges last spring. I wonder, can I use those already run exchanges to start working on the tools that you described?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can access the dashboard for any exchange in your room. So if your district has a thought exchange room and you've been added into it, you'll have access to all of those features in the different dashboards for those past exchanges.
And so would you recommend just say starting a new report and then start playing around that way?
Yeah, that's probably easiest. Yeah, so you could set up a new theme set in one of those past exchanges to play around and then create a new report and look at the slide deck too to think about how you would use it and how you would edit it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for taking time to attend today, Kim.
Oh, it was very useful, really. Yeah.
Glad to hear it. All right, so we have one other person on the call, but they haven't raised their hand for any questions or added them into the chat. So if you both want to hop off and get a little bit of time back in your day, get those 3 minutes back, please do. We will send you a follow-up with the recording. We're going to have a couple of help articles in there. And the best way to learn how to use the dashboard is to get in there and just get playing, start seeing what's there. All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care.